Imagine spending years, like completely perfecting this master strategy,
Wow.
making it your entire identity as a professional, only to just throw it in the garbage like 10 minutes before the biggest test of your life.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like career suicide, honestly.
Right. But that is exactly what Ohio University's head football coach did over the weekend. So, welcome to today's deep dive. If you've been, anywhere near a sports feed recently, you already know we are talking about the massive, totally narrative-shifting college football victory for Ohio University.
Huge game. Just massive.
Yeah, but we aren't just looking at the final score today, because the real story is the brilliant, high-tension chess match that took place behind the scenes.
Which is really where the true story lives. I mean, what happened on that field wasn't just a physical victory over a rival. It was a psychological triumph, like an absolute clinic in sideline adjustments.
Oh, absolutely.
And, crisis management and keeping some incredibly high-profile egos in check when everything is on the line.
And we have the ultimate insider perspective to break all of that down for you today. We actually got our hands on an exclusive stack of post-game press conference audio from Ohio University's head coach, Abdullah Amir.
Which is just gold. Pure audio
Yes,
gold.
it really is.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the tactical adjustments that actually won the game, explore the very real tension between, individual awards and team goals, and analyze the coach's absolute commitment to his program right in the middle of some intense poaching rumors.
Yeah, because it's a fascinating snapshot of a program at a really critical inflection point. And it's led by a coach who is basically rewriting his own rules in real time.
Exactly. And hey, even if you wouldn't consider yourself a diehard college football fan, I promise you need to stick around for this one. Because what we are looking at today is a masterclass in high-stakes adaptability.
Totally. It's leadership psychology 101.
Right. These are lessons that apply whether you're running a football team, a Fortune 500 company, or just, trying to navigate some chaotic project at work where everything is going wrong all at once. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, to really appreciate the magnitude of this win, we have to start with the historical baggage that Coach Amir actually carried into this matchup.
Yeah, the Cheon rivalry.
Exactly. We have to look at the tactical masterstroke that secured this first ever in-person victory against his longtime rival, Coach Cheon. Because prior to this weekend, Cheon really had Amir's number.
I mean, it wasn't just a rivalry. It was pretty much a one-sided dismantling. Cheon had a history of completely blowing Coach Amir out of the water.
He did.
And what struck me immediately in the audio stack was Amir's surprising vulnerability about that history. He didn't give that typical, alpha male coach answer, just deflecting the past.
No, not at all.
He flat out admitted he was actually scared prior to the game because Cheon had, and these are his words, toasted his defensive backs the last time they played.
And I just have to say, that level of candor is incredibly rare in this profession. Usually, coaches project total invulnerability. They talk about executing better or cleaning up mistakes.
Right, the classic coach speak.
Exactly. But Amir's fear was rooted in empirical evidence. He knew his existing defensive system was a glaring liability against this specific opponent.
Let's take a listen to what Coach Amir said after the game.
I honestly have no clue how I won. To be honest, I was a bit scared prior to the game. What happened was that prior to the game, I decided to change the defensive scheme. I just went with my defensive coordinator and I said, let's change it up. And I decided collectively to talk with him, and we were like, yeah, we should consider doing more coverage and more zone defense instead of doing blitzing. So that was the main difference I made, just because previously, last time I played Cheon, he completely toasted my DBs. So that's what the change we decided to do. And then I gave Carnell Davis the keys to navigate the whole offense. He was doing great till he got injured. So then I had to play, I believe, Trevor Linderbaum. And despite the fact that he is a freshman and he's left-handed and that was only his third, fourth game that he ever played, he did great out there. And regarding the fact that he wants to leave is up to him, but I will call upon him once if he wants to play. So I hope he was doing great out there, managing the whole offense. But I will not be taking questions about whether or not he transferred. but that's overall how we did it. Um, I am a bit sad that Davis had to go off injured, but as long as he's okay, I think he's going to be okay for your next game. So he should be going back in the Heisman hunt. But basically, we should be going for a natty this year. Um, so that's how it did it. I'll be real. On Cheyenne, what we noticed on Cheyenne's end was that his running back was great. I mean, but he just didn't run the ball that much. His offense kind of lacked. Like the QB wasn't great, the receiver core wasn't great. So he just kept on getting stopped on fourth down. He stopped me a couple times on fourth down too. I picked him off once, but it was kind of just me stopping him and then me just taking advantage every time because he would always go for it and he wouldn't convert on fourth down. So that was the main factor. That and we were always like, that QB was just not ready to go out in the lights. So, but it feels great overall to get the first in person win, especially against Cheyenne, who's a great opponent. And we've had a previous past of him always blowing me out, but honestly, it feels great to win. But we can't hold on to that forever, as obviously there is other stuff on the plate we still need to win out, which I won't worry about. But our focus now should now be on the Big Ten championship and then going on from there. But overall, I am happy, but we can't let this get in over our heads. We still got 3 good opponents, and I believe UCLA and USC. I believe I'm forgetting one more, but those are opponents that I can't really. How do you say? I can't really. We're going to be treating it as if we're playing against the number 1 team. We are going to play our best, but I will not try to risk Carnell Davis's health as well. But Trevor Linderbaum seems to be doing good, but I think Carnell Davis should be back for the next game.
So in the audio, he details a complete philosophical pivot. He explains that his entire defensive identity has always been heavily influenced by Brian Flores.
Ah, the defensive coordinator for the NFL's Minnesota Vikings.
Right, and Flores is really infamous for relying on relentless, heavy blitzing.
So for those listening who might not know the X's and O's of football, can you break down what blitzing actually means on the field?
Sure, so think of blitzing like throwing a massive aggressive haymaker in a boxing match. You are sending extra defenders more than the standard 4 linemen to just rush the quarterback.
You're trying to overwhelm them.
Right, overwhelm the offensive line, force a quick panic, and basically get a knockout punch before the play even develops.
Super aggressive.
Very. It's a dictate the pace style of defense, and Amir absolutely loves it.
I mean, it's his bread and butter. It's the scheme he clearly feels most comfortable calling when the pressure is on.
Precisely. But here is the critical realization. He recognized that sticking to his preferred philosophy was actually playing right into Cheyenne's hands.
Oh, wow. Because Cheyenne knew it was coming.
Yeah, Cheyenne knew exactly how to slip the haymaker and counterpunch. So Amir went to his defensive coordinator right before the game and made the incredibly difficult decision to set his personal preference for blitzing completely aside.
And take some serious guts.
It does. Instead, they shifted to a heavy man coverage and zone-heavy scheme.
Which means, instead of rushing the quarterback with extra guys, they are dropping defenders back to stick to the receivers one-on-one. Or, guarding specific zones of the field. So to use your boxing analogy, they start throwing wild haymakers, put their guard up, and decided to just let the opponent exhaust themselves throwing punches.
That is a perfect way to look at it. They prioritize coverage over pressure.
But the risk there is astronomical, right? I mean, abandoning your favorite, heavily practiced strategy right before playing your biggest rival. That is it's like a Michelin star chef throwing out their signature recipe.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right, like throwing out the one recipe their kitchen staff has practiced thousands of times on the exact night the most important food critics arrive. If it fails, you look foolish.
Totally foolish.
So what does this pivot actually tell us about Amir's growth as a tactician?
I think it tells us he has evolved from a system coach into a situational mastermind.
Interesting, a system coach.
Yeah, a system coach forces their players to execute a preferred philosophy regardless of the opponent. They often fall victim to the sunk cost fallacy. Like, they think, well, we practiced this all year, so we have to use it.
Oh, right. Even if it's clearly not working.
Exactly. But a master tactician looks at the opponent, acknowledges past failures, and adapts. And the on-field mechanics of this switch worked flawlessly.
Because dropping more guys into coverage shrinks the passing lanes.
Right. They shrink to the size of a keyhole.
While the defense was holding the line with this new identity, the offense was going through an absolute roller coaster.
Oh man, were they ever?
And that brings us to the second massive takeaway from the press conference, which is the quarterback carousel and the Heisman dilemma.
Because securing stops on defense is only half the battle. I mean, you still have to score points.
Very true.
And the mid-game crisis Ohio University faced perfectly illustrates how Coach Amir manages the psychology of his players. It really highlights this incredible tension between individual glory and team success.
So let's paint the picture of this offensive chaos for you. Coach Amir gives his star quarterback, Carnell Davis, the keys to the offense. And Davis is dominating.
He looked amazing.
He is looking every bit the Heisman candidate he's hyped up to be. But then, disaster strikes. Davis goes down with a sudden injury.
And the air usually just gets sucked right out of the stadium when a star player goes down. The entire playbook you built for that specific athlete is suddenly out the window.
Enter Trevor Linderbaum.
Man, what an unbelievable spot for that kid.
Right. We are talking about a true freshman. And crucially, and this is so important, he is left-handed.
Which changes everything.
Yeah, if you aren't deep into football mechanics, you might think, well, so what? But a left-handed quarterback entirely flips the blocking angles for the offensive line.
Yeah, the blind side.
Right. When your quarterback is right-handed, the left tackle protects his blind side, his back. The entire offensive line builds muscle memory around stepping and sliding in certain directions to protect that specific pocket.
And then you drop a left-handed quarterback in there.
And suddenly the blind side flips to the right tackle. Every blocking angle, every instinct these massive linemen have developed is suddenly backward. Plus, this is only the third or fourth game Linderbaum has ever played in.
It is a logistical nightmare for an offense to adjust to mid-game. Yet Linderbaum steps up beautifully to manage the game and keep the ship steady.
He really did.
He didn't try to be the superhero, he just executed the basics. But the ripple effect of this injury and the tactical shifts required to survive it brought up a massive question regarding individual awards.
Let's hear from Coach Amir on that.
Quick question over here, Coach Abdullah. Thank you so much for your lengthy answer and detailed answer about what your team decided to do. Obviously, that big change in the defensive mentality was the deciding factor in the final score today. What were you going to do moving forward, considering you had so much success with the scheme that you had, as you did today against such a quality opponent? And how do you guys feel about from becoming the hunters into the hunted, as you now have two of the top 5 Heisman candidates on the offensive side of the ball? How does that impact your offensive play calling, and how does that change your defensive mentality in these games? Yes, it's a big win, but there's a lot of important football coming up. What's your message to your team and to your community?
Thank you for the question. To start things off, I want to address the Heisman stuff just because obviously that's on my mind too. I want my players, I want Carnell Davis and I want Pena to go out there and win the Heisman. And obviously I will give little influence. I will try to give my best influence to try to win them the Heisman. But there are times where the team comes first than a player or players in this example. And there are times where I would have to go to look at Romanowski, for example, or I'm going to have to look at Ambrose, or I'm going to have to look at another receiver out there, or I'm even going to have to run the ball, which I barely run the ball as is. But that being said, I will try to. I would love a Heisman personally. It's great to see that we have two Heisman finalists, but especially with Carnell Davis's injury and the fact that I didn't give the ball. We decided not to give the ball that much to Pena. Might be a drop in the Heisman votings. But I'm going to do what's best for the team. The team needs to win a trophy, and I'd rather have team success than have a Heisman winner. Don't get me wrong, I love a Heisman winner, but I think this year we have the best roster, and we can't. It's this year I feel like is bring it all, I guess, because. I don't know, with the transfer portal and all that, I don't know if some of the players want to stay or want to leave. It's a very tough situation to be in. But that's what I'm thinking. And answering your question about the defense scheme, I believe I'm going to stick with this defensive scheme. I think I've been way too much been heavily influenced by Brian Flores of the Minnesota Vikings, the defensive coordinator there. He does a lot of blitzing. yeah, I take inspiration to that, but I think personally I should set that preference aside and stick to man coverage, as that's what seemed to really have helped this game. Just keep on getting stops over and over again and making the QB have to throw was the best call I've made. So I think that's going to be a permanent thing now. Um,
So the press really zeroed in on a unique dilemma here. Ohio University currently boasts two top 5 candidates for the Heisman Trophy.
Which, for those who don't know, is the most prestigious individual award in college sports, given to the most outstanding player in the country.
Right. And they have Carnell Davis at quarterback and Pina, who is just an absolute weapon at receiver.
But because Davis got injured, and because the new game script with a left-handed freshman quarterback meant Pina didn't get the ball very much, their individual stats took a major hit.
A huge hit.
And Amir openly acknowledged in the audio that their Heisman stock might drop simply because of how the game had to be managed.
You could really hear the internal conflict in Amir's voice. He explicitly said he wants his players to win the Heisman. Like, he would love a Heisman winner for the program. It's great for recruiting. It's great for prestige.
Oh, absolutely.
But he took a remarkably firm stance on his priorities. He stated clearly that he will do what is best for the team, even if it hurts his Stars Award campaigns.
He specifically mentioned that if defenses focus on Pena, he might have to start relying on other targets, like Romanowski or Ambrose.
Right.
And he admitted he rarely does this.
Mm-hmm.
He might just have to grind it out and run the ball to protect his freshman quarterback.
Which is smart football.
It is.
Yeah.
But I want to explore the psychology of this for a second. We see this tension all the time in high-level performance. Think of a movie director trying to win a Best Actor Oscar for their lead star while also trying to win Best Picture for the whole film.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. To get the actor the Oscar, you might need to leave in these long, self-indulgent monologues that actually ruin the pacing of the overall movie.
Yeah, it hurts the film.
Exactly. So are these goals, the Heisman and the national championship, sometimes mutually exclusive?
I think they frequently conflict. To secure a Heisman, a coach often feels pressured to force-feed the ball to their star.
Even when it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. They might leave their starters in late in the fourth quarter during a blowout just to pad their stats, which risks injury. Or they might call high-risk passing plays to get a receiver a touchdown when a safe, boring run would just run out the clock and secure the win.
Right. It requires prioritizing the individual's highlight reel over the team's risk management.
And that is incredibly dangerous when you are playing against top-tier opponents who will punish those risks.
Definitely.
And that is why Amir's clear hierarchy is so important here. He explicitly stated he'd rather have team success than a Heisman winner.
Yeah, he was very blunt about that.
He pointed out that with this year's specific roster, this is the window to win the big trophy. He noted how unpredictable the sport has become. Like, you simply don't know who is going to stay and who is going to leave next year. So, for Amir, team silverware is infinitely more important than an individual statue.
He even brought up Mason Williams to prove his point. He said Williams winning tight end of the year was great, but it's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is the national championship.
And Amir's willingness to sacrifice his stars' egos for the team's success, combined with his proven ability to outcoach his rivals, is exactly what makes him so attractive to other programs.
Oh, yeah. Which brings us to the elephant in the room from this press conference. The poaching rumors.
The Sharks are definitely circling.
They really are. 5-star legacy programs are reportedly lining up with blank checks to poach Coach Amir.
Thank you so much, Coach, for your lengthy answers. One final question before we hop off tonight. You know, you've addressed the portal situation as being so fluid and nebulous. You never know what's going to happen. What about yourself? I'm sure there's many 5-star programs out there who see the success that you've had this season and the seasons past, and they're going to come calling. What do you have to say to those rumors about other job offers coming down the line? And what's your commitment to the Ohio University football program?
Well, to answer your question, and I'm sorry again for lengthy answers, but in my opinion, I'm committed here for this season. I'm committed here for the next couple of seasons. And the best thing I'm going to say to answer your question is that I am not leaving until I deliver a national championship to Ohio University. I feel that's what I should owe, as Ohio University took a gamble on me when I had no coaching experience. And to be promised the head coach position straight up and for me to deliver year after year, I feel at least the only thing I should do now is to bring some silverware. Obviously, Mason Williams winning tight end of the year was great and all, but I want to deliver a natty. And so I will be here until I deliver a natty. Does that mean I'm going to leave next season? I cannot comment on that. But I will say I'm not going to pull a Lane Kiffin. But I'm going to be here till I deliver a natty. That is the goal. I'm not looking at any offers right now. That's a later problem. Right now, I'm focusing on this team that I built, and we'll look at that problem later. But to address your question, no, I've not been looking at any other teams or contracts as of now, because my commitment right now is to the Ohio University football team. Thank you.
Which brings this entire story full circle perfectly. So let's briefly recap the incredible journey we've mapped out in this deep dive.
Let's do it.
We saw Coach Amir outsmart his longtime rival, Cheyenne, by basically swallowing his pride, abandoning his beloved blitzing scheme, and deploying a coverage-heavy look that completely suffocated the opponent's offense.
Incredible tactical pivot. And then we saw a leader navigating a mid-game crisis with a left-handed freshman quarterback,
Yeah, Linderbaum.
while simultaneously making the tough, really unpopular decision to prioritize a national championship run over padding stats for his 2 Heisman candidates.
And we heard a pledge of old-school loyalty to the university that gave him his start, pushing back against the modern trend of constant coaching carousels. But as the press conference made clear, the job isn't done. The celebration was short-lived.
Amir was adamant about that. They cannot let this victory go to their heads. The focus is now squarely on the Big Ten championship.
Right.
They still have a brutal stretch ahead with massive games against powerhouses like UCLA and USC, plus one more opponent.
And he noted they are treating every single one of those remaining games like they are playing the #1 team in the country. Plus, there was a crucial piece of good news tucked in at the end of the audio.
Yes.
Carnell Davis, the star quarterback, is actually expected to be back and healthy for the next game.
Which is huge. That means the offense can return to its original dynamic form. And the Heisman campaigns might still have some life in them, provided they align with winning football games first and foremost.
Right, team first. It's going to be a thrilling stretch run for Ohio University, that's for sure.
Okay.
But as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We talked about that Michelin star chef throwing out the recipe to save the night. And we talked about the absolute chaos of the transfer portal. We're living in an ecosystem built on constant movement, where players chase NIL deals and coaches routinely chase the highest bidder.
A completely transient, self-interested environment.
Exactly. So, in that kind of environment, is Coach Amir's fierce loyalty to the school that gave him a shot simply a dying art, like a nostalgic relic of a bygone era that will eventually get him left behind?
That's the big question.
Or is it actually the ultimate competitive advantage? Because maybe the most unbeatable strategy in sports or business isn't a defensive scheme at all. Maybe the real masterstroke is building a culture where a team truly believes their leader isn't looking for the exit. We'll let you chew on that.